Well, hi, good morning. It's December 20th. Oh my gosh, Christmas is coming. And I want to get this radio back in its cabinet and finished before people start coming to visit me at Christmas time. So, today is going to be all about these push buttons up here on the top. I've got them up on top of this rack. They kind of have to be in this position when you're going to work on these because they have a wire coming up from this side and they have 3 wires coming up from this side. In the end, this thing can't be in too many other locations than just kind of around here. So this is how I've solved it. I put this handy little shelf. It's a shelf. It's a teacup shelf thing anyway. I put it on here and bingo. So quite a few things we got to do here. One of them is figure out how these wires go in. I'm already halfway through that because there's 3 wires and one of them is the black ground wire. This one here, you can see it going right to the chassis down here. So I know where this one goes, but the other 2? Well, there's only 2 choices, so how wrong can I get it? So I've got to sort that out. Secondly, just in some preliminary studying here in my shop, before starting the video, I realized that this apparatus, you can call it that, is just a little different than what I had thought. So, you know, when I look at this, I see the coils and I see the capacitors back here. And oh, a coil and a capacitor, why, that's a resonant circuit. Wow, okay, so these coils and these capacitors go together to make this thing resonate. And I put a big X on that because that's not right. That is not what's going on with this. And we'll see a little better when we look at the schematic and other information in the manual on it, but right now let's just look at this thing visually. So first you see a set of switches across the top here and a wire going from each set of switches down to one of the capacitors. Look at the other side of the capacitor, maybe a little, no, it's not hard to see. They're all joined together and attached to the frame. Let's call this the frame, and the frame of course is grounded back to the chassis of the radio via that black wire that I was talking about over here. So if we flip this over, I'm going to have to flip it this way. And we look at the other side, you see another set of switches. Okay. And all the coils are very obvious, and here's the coil adjustments here, and you can even see the capacitor screws here, trimmers. So in the past, you know, I've done a number of these radios, and kick me in the rear, I just saw the coils and capacitors and thought this is a resonant thing, and this might explain why I've had some trouble setting these up in the past. Different radios do this differently. An awful lot of them, all you're adjusting at the top here is oscillator. You're just moving the oscillator frequency. You're basically inserting a different coil in for the oscillator coil in the radio, different coils in. Not this one. Well, yes, this one. Yes, this one is doing that, but it's also inserting these capacitors into the RF tuning at the front of the radio. Though these things are not directly related. This coil and this capacitor, they're not in the same place inside the radio circuit at all. They're doing 2 quite different things. So knowing that now, and it's really obvious when you look at the information. I guess, you know, obvious is not good, obvious enough for me sometimes. So the name of the game here is when you adjust these coils, you're adjusting the oscillator, you're tuning the radio. And when you adjust these trimmers, you're peaking the radio at the point you tuned it to. So if in your head you think, like I think I did in the past, that both of these are adjusting the tuned point of the radio, I think with that in your head you'd have a lot of trouble getting this to work right. So got that out of my head. Isn't that great? Now, is there anything more we need to see up here before we take a look? Here you can see the center post here clearly following this bare wire, which in this radio on the schematic they call these bare wires buses. B-U-S, B-U-S, B-U-S-S, B-U-S, bare. Usually bare wires indicate a ground wire for obvious reasons. Why would they not use an insulated wire here? Why, that would cost an extra penny. That would be an extra penny, and a penny here, and a penny here. Why, that's 2 pennies. So if you're trying to build the radio cheap, You want to save those 2 pennies across 10,000 radios. That starts adding up a little bit. And that's why they did it. Very sparing with the valuable copper and insulation, stuff like that. Okay, am I talking? I'm reaching the babble point. Let's flip this around so it looks a little more natural. The button's out front. This thing sits in the radio with this side up. So dust coming down in the radio, there isn't an awful lot. It's going to settle on the top here. The bottom is probably looking a lot cleaner. Okay. Doesn't, like, there's no dust problem here though. So next thing, before we sort out these wires, let's keep investigating how this is set up. By the way, I didn't point it out, but you can see on the coils, one of the wires from each coil are bound together right here and connected to the ground. And the other the other wire from each coil individually goes to these switches on the other side though. So if you look at this, you can really figure it out if you just take the time to look at it. Now, yeah, let's go study up some information on this that I've got here and go from there. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at how this is displayed here on the schematic itself. So, whoops. Unfortunately, these things are going to keep coming up on the screen if I keep sweeping my cursor over here. So just ignore these buttons that keep coming up. It'll go away in a moment. There they go. So here's the button arrangement here. So here's the coils. Here's the capacitors. They're showing this as if this button here, switch number 9 or S9, has been depressed in S14. So one of the buttons is pushed in, showing how the connections are made here or not made here. Notice that this kind of connects through here. That's interesting. So this wire and it can't continue on here. Oh, I don't think it matters. Same deal down here. Okay, don't get too fascinated by the small stuff, Jim. So right away, let's read the notes. Let's be smart. Read the notes. Note, range switches are shown in maximum counterclockwise position and viewed from front of chassis. So this note has nothing to do with this stuff down here. They put it here because this is this place where they could put it. A little bit of white space on here. You know, this is a pretty packed page here, so you got a little white space and stuck the note here. I wish he'd lifted it up a little higher and had some white space in here. Draftsmen talk a lot about white space on diagrams. White space is as important to your eye as the line work in here, by the way. Okay, so now if we just ignore this top note, we can clearly see a title here, oscillator coils, and its brother title down here, antenna trimmers. I don't even call these trimmers because they aren't. These are substitute coils going into the radio, and these trimmers are substitute, well, I won't say it because I already know what lies ahead here. So there should be 3 wires coming out of here along with that plug. So I think this is the plug. This represents the plug, I think. No, it's a switch. Phono socket at the back of the radio. Well, they don't seem to have the little plug really well displayed here, but anyway, there's an audio side and then there's the 2 other wires. 3 other wires rather. One of them is the ground wire. This I believe represents the ground wire, the black wire I showed you. The other 2 wires are these 2 wires here. So let's follow one. Let's follow the one from the oscillator coils. So we follow this wire. Comes over here, up here, gets into the wafer switches. These wafer switches here are selecting which one of these coils you're going to use in the radio. Get you different bands, right? There's all the different bands out here. So if you studied the wiring long enough, if you didn't lose your mind doing that, you would realize eventually that this is a selection of coils here, and done in some fashion. And when these switches are in the right position, you've selected the push buttons, you've selected this wire. And you go back here, and it's just more coils. They're just replacing these coils. Actually, I think I could be specific. You're replacing this A coil with these coils. Something like that anyway is occurring. We could think of it that way. It may not be exactly right. See, these coils are not center tapped. This one's got a center tap or some kind of tap on it, and it's wired in a complicated way. This one's not looking nearly as complicated, so does this really swap in for these? I don't know. But we can think of it that way. Now, if we look at the capacitors here, and we follow that line back, okay, so we'll follow the line back. Here we go. Along here, along here, along here, right to here. My mouse stuck there. Go up, over, and up. Oh, we're into a wafer switch. What is this wafer switch doing? See, there's a through connection to this side of the same wafer switch. And what's going on here is we're selecting these coils. Okay, not oscillator coils, these are antenna coils. Here. Well, wait a minute. I just brought over a wire that's connected to trimmer capacitors. How can you substitute capacitors for these coils? Well, I don't think you can. So there's something more going on here that's not readily apparent by just looking at the schematic. I have to study it very, very carefully. My guess is a coil or set of coils is selected here. For instance, when you push PB on the push buttons, PB standing for push button, when you rotate the band switch to PB and select push buttons, I don't know if that's even apparent here. Don't know. I think you must be leaving one coil in somehow, and then the capacitors are working against it down here. I don't really know. But what that does show is that this set of capacitors is connected to the front end of the radio, and this set of coils is connected to the oscillator, showing again that these really have nothing to do with each other directly. So that's really clear in my head. Now, what else can we get out of here? So these wires should be colored, but the color doesn't show here. But I have another trick up my sleeve, and that's to look at this diagram. So this is looking into the bottom of the radios if we're looking up into the chassis with all the parts. Okay, so if we take a look here, we will see where two of the three wires coming down from the push buttons comes through holes in the chassis and appear underneath here. Here's one of them right here. See, it says two push buttons, and that's a little hole, and the wire comes down from above through the chassis and down underneath. It makes a connection to S1. That's a green wire. Green, eh? And then the other one, because only two make it underneath the chassis, is up here. Here it is here. Two push buttons. Blue one. So we should find, let's pick this one, a green wire coming through the hole right near, this is the band switch. Right near the band switch. Green wire. Okay, let's go look for the green wire, because if I can find the green wire, I'm done. Because I'll know two, and the third one is obvious. Okay, green wire. Let's go back. Okay, so one of these wires is supposed to be green, so that's the black one. One of these is green. Okay, so I had to guess. This would be the green one here, if I had to guess. This one, the other wire, I think, let me just peek on my own here. I'm just peeking now. The other wire was blue. Oh my gosh. Okay, look at that. Blue. There's blue. Yeah, look at the frayed ends to find the color. So this has to be green. Wow. Really? So let's hook up this one where it needs to go. This is the ground one. Okay. Now, So the blue one, the blue one goes where? So I have another interesting diagram to study here. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so here we are. Keyboard adjustment. Wow, today we wouldn't call that a keyboard, would we? That's a bunch of push buttons. But anyway, here we go. Let's just take a look at the diagram first. So one of the first things to notice on this is these. So each one of these push button selections can only tune a small range of the AM radio band. It cannot tune the entire range. So if you want to listen to a station, let's say at 1100, so you could put 1100 on here, put on here, put on here. That's a bad choice, Jim. No, you can't put it on these two because they won't reach to 1100. So you got to pay attention to that idea, and of course these should be set so they travel up the band. Now this looks like this would be up the band. So let's see. So with the lower end, 540 to 1000, so that's a lower half. 620 to 1200, so a little more in the middle, a little more in the middle, and then this is the top. I don't even recommend going to 1600. I studied these for a while earlier while I was working on this radio, R, C, and F. What does that possibly mean? I was going red, color, what? Front, center, rear is what that means. Not terribly helpful, I'm afraid, unless these letters appear somewhere on another diagram to help me figure out the wiring. But I think I already got that. In fact, why didn't it put blue, black, yellow? Why didn't they do that? Bums they are. Better read this now. The keys may be adjusted for any 5 stations on the A band. Preferable arrangements to adjust the stations in order of frequency proceed as follows. Turn range selector to A. Manually tune in a station, let's say at 560. Turn range selector push button position, press key number 2. Okay, so 2 is the first one. 1 is not the first. 2 located second from the left. Oh, because 1 is to select this, to pump audio into the amplifier from your turntable or something like that. So that's what's going on here. Look, you even have a position to take another capacitor that's missing here. Is that really like that on there? Yes, because they don't show it here, but there's a mechanism up in here taking up the space. So okay, it's not completely empty like this when you look at the real thing. So okay, onwards. There's number 2, referring to figure 4, adjust core and trimmer number 2 for a peak at 560. So you're not hunting around trying, well, I guess you kind of are. You're just tuning around by turning the core in the coil. And once you get the thing tuned in the way you want it, you then peak it with the trimmer. It doesn't really say that here, does it? It just says adjust them both for a peak. Proceed to adjust other 4 stations in order of frequency outlined above. When a station is inaudible due to reception conditions, a test oscillator. Now this is what I may have to do here. I have to put in a test oscillator to do that. Any other little tricks in here that I missed? No. Interestingly enough, look, this manual has interesting information. I haven't availed myself of this, which is checking all the screen and plate voltages. I have not availed myself of that. And what else is down here? Nothing more. There we are. Okay, so we got the goods here. Now let's make a final decision on which wire goes where. Should be pretty easy to do now. We see that the wire called green, let's work on the blue wire because I know which one. The blue wire is coming through a hole. This is the back of the radio here. Coming through a hole kind of near to these, near to the back. It's the backer. It's more backer. The other one is the more fronter. So we take the backer, should be blue. Okay, let's see if this really works. So the backer, this would be this wire here. as opposed to the fronter, which is the one up there, and this wire is the blue. Great. Now, what happened to that? Now we need the front rear. Wait a minute. So, what I don't know is I still don't know which one of these to plug this into. Yeah, somehow I missed that. How did I miss that? Okay, so I know green, blue. I got green and blue. I know green and blue. What can I do? Green and blue. Where do they go? Are they showing on here? I don't think so. That's just, yeah, that doesn't help one bit. It's a little like telling somebody where their face is. I already know where it is. So no help here. So only hope is here. But they didn't put the colors on here. Those bums. What am I missing here? There must be some hint here. This can't be this complicated. So maybe the C and the F show up here. Or the F and the R, front and rear. I can figure it from this. This is physically laid out the way it is on the, I don't know about that. I don't know. Oh, direction of push buttons. Okay, so that's telling me that this is physically makes sense. This is laid out similar to the way it's really laid out. So we can see, okay, oh, here's how we can do it. Okay, the wire that is associated with the oscillators is the wire that would go closer to the back of the radio. C3, B1, this is the front. Blue is at the front, so the one that's at the back. Okay, the one at the back is the oscillator, and the oscillator plugs into the coils. I can see that. Okay, I got it. The one at the back is the oscillator. The one at the back is the oscillator. I want to pick which one of these two now is hooked up to these coils. Premature on that one. See the black wire hooked up to here. Oh, where are you? I'm up here, man. Have a look up here. Sorry about the focus. The black wire is hooked up to these switches, hooked up to these coils, comes to this. This is where the back wire, the blue one, goes. Just plugged these in and tried it this way or that until I got it. Goodness knows how many of these are wrong in radios, in this style of radio. Goodness knows. Now listen, now that makes sense, doesn't it? That the maybe I overthought this. The back wire here is the back wire here. The front wire here is the front wire here. Maybe I could have just. Okay, maybe I made it. Should have made a better observation at the start. So we got them hooked up. I think we're ready to go here. Yeah, I have the feeling we're going to need the signal generator before long. And we're going to want this facing this away. I think really I'm going to be using the signal generator for sure to create the signal. I'm supposed to put the transmitting antenna 4 feet away. Well, it's close to 4 feet away. So if I put this way over here, it is now 4 feet away across my bench. Are we all set here? Got to use a meter here for this. This is across the voice coil terminals on the speaker. I just cracked the seal here a little bit. give us the high fidelity sound from the speaker. I think everything is ready. I feel ready. Do you feel ready? I feel ready. Dim bulbs, please. Lights. Cameras. Action. Now I gotta make sure the selector on the front is on push button. And first, you know what? Let's make sure it's on the A band and the radio's receiving. That would be, that's using the brain power there, Jim. So I need my mirror. Okay, we are definitely on the A band. Oh, the tuning feels so great on this radio. It's really very satisfying. Okay, good. Now, for instance, 30. You can set on the basis of this. Just to double check here, why not try that? So if we want to try on the AM band at 600, it's supposed to be 33. Let's check. Checking the calibration. A little pointer. There we go. 33. Shouldn't do that. Should just use the string. That's dead on 33. So if I did everything right last time around, when I tune this to 600, we should hear it. Full power. There we go. Checking the meter here just a sec. Okay. 600. Hey. Hey, come on. Okay, first question. What am I doing wrong here? We're on the A band. You know what? I don't know. It's definitely acting like it's tuning. Insufficient signal. My antennas are incorrectly polarized, and there's no sharing of the signal. Let's induce some sharing here. That's the transmitter antenna. Oh, there we are. Okay, now check exactly. A little surprised how close this has to be, but not bad. Right on the money, in fact. So 600 is 600. So now the first button. Wow, okay, volume at minimum. First button we want to tune is going to be, wish I did not print that sheet. I did not print that sheet. So we're going to want to do button number 1, which is this button here. Flip the radio onto push buttons, depress button number 1. We'll see what happens. Okay, so we're on push button. No buttons pushed. push button number 1. Number 2, actually. It's actually number 2. I didn't hear much action there. I didn't hear much of anything. See, the problem now is it's kind of hard to swing the tuning of the radio up and down and find out what's going on. It's fixed to whatever this is happening here. But let's try the VFO just in case. No, the VFO's out of the picture. We're not hearing anything. So this could just simply be tuned to the wrong spot. We can find out where this is tuned by messing around with this. The coil and capacitor in this could be whacked out so badly, well, we may have to pound the signal into the radio to get it to come through it initially. Let's see what happens when I tune this. All that talk for nothing. So around 6:10, 6:15, somewhere around there. This first button would be good at 590. 590 is where we want this to go. So let's try. 590 is a very popular and strong sports channel from the I was going to say from the States, from Toronto. So first we want this to go down. So I'm trying to ignore the heterodyne and hear only the tone from the transmitter. There it is. Okay, so I've actually got the signal generator set to 610, which is kind of where we want it. My meter's not helping much. Let's try the capacitor and see if it peaks it up. Quiet. Seemed like it peaked just in here. But we're not hearing 590. It could simply be, well, first I got, well, we're not hearing 590 because I just tuned it to 610 for crying out loud. But we're not hearing 610. Yeah, what am I doing? 590 is where we want to go. .590. So the coil is tuning. A little tricky to tune with that noise and interfering signal there at the same time, but I think I got that set to 590. Okay, down on the volume. Let's go back to A band. Tune the radio to 590. I'm going to try to do that. How can I do that? There's no dial on the front. I think it is tuned. I think it is tuned to 590. No, I think that's tuned to 590. Get it right, man. So we know 33 is 600. There's 590 right there. Doing sports. So there's 590. We should hear exactly this. from the push button setting. Okay, go back to push buttons. There. We're listening to this. I don't hear anything. We'll pump 590 over here and double check. Okay, close our coupling here. So we're a little high on the tuning here. I'm on the button, so I'm a little high on this. That may be why we didn't hear it. Okay. So so that's a better 590. Remember, these stations I'm trying to receive are surrounded by noise in here and also sometimes right on top. We'll peak it with this too. Oh! Wow. Wow. Hold on. Is that for real? What's going on there? Definitely my signal generator. Wow. Okay, so I just jumped the sensitivity way up here. So we should be able to pick up the station now, the same as we did with the VFO. Okay, back to VFO. You should hear that. I sure don't. Oh, did I go the right way? Yep. Easily turn that dial the wrong way. Why are we not hearing this? This thing just jumped to life when I tuned it. Let's tune this a little more, very carefully. Jumping now. Tune this guy a little bit. What's the difference here? Why so? Well, you know, different coils, different capacitor. Maybe the sensitivity is different too. Maybe they allow for less sensitivity in the circuit design when you're using push buttons because you're aiming for a strong station. So they reasoned that a little loss of sensitivity wouldn't matter. Seems to matter now. Okay, you know, we'll try another channel. Like next one up would be 590, 610. We can go to 640. So we'll tune this guy to 640. Let me push the button now. It certainly did go somewhere, didn't it? 640. So it's tuned up around 7 right now. Going down in frequency, let's find it. There it is. So screw in to go down. 680. Okay, all the way down to 640. Put a fair bit of power into the antenna here, which should be easy to find. Should not miss it. Yeah, hard to miss that. Okay. Okay, much lighter signal. Okay, now this peak up. Is it going to jump like crazy like the last one? No. It just has a regular peak in it. What's going on with that last one? That should be receiving 640 now. There it is. Right on. Yep, right on. But I think the VFO will tune that better. Let's try. $610. $640. Whoop. Where'd 640 go? So it's picking up the signal generator at 630. There's 640. Now we'll switch from VFO to push button. Hear the difference? It's really no difference. Okay, so we're on the push button setting again. Go to the next one. 640, 680 is the next logical one. Now we're into the third push button here. I have to check its range. Let me check. I'll just take a peek myself here. What is the range of the third, which is push button number 4? The range is 620 to 1200. So 680 should do it still. Okay, so 680, next push button. Nothing shows up. Okay, 680. Okay, this is way up at 900. Okay, so I think you gotta screw it in to turn it down. Yep. So we're going a long ways. Okay, where are we now? We're at 800. So this is close to the limit of this thing's range. Wow, things got real quiet there. Really quiet. 740, that's an interesting thing too. I don't know why we're getting down towards the end here. Not a lot left there. Well, you know what? We're still at 720. Okay, so I'm going to abandon the 680. I'm going to do 740 here. 740. Of course, it could just be the trimmer so far out now. Let's try 740. Where are you? Wow, that's a lot of turning to get a short distance. Peek it up. Ooh. Okay, there's a peaky thing right in there. What's happening there? I think what we're seeing is the effect of the AVC holding the signal we're hearing fairly steady, and as I tune it in and out, tune it in and out, the noise is going up and down in the background. So I think this is really where it needs to be. .740 now. We're just, because this isn't exactly accurate. Well, let's see if we can pick up the signal here. Ooh, Mr. Radio. Pretty darn quiet. Now I got a solution for that called the volume control. Doesn't sound right at all. Let's fool around here. Make sure I'm doing the right one all the time. This screw is different from this screw. This washer looks different than this washer. And this one looks a little different too. Somebody backed these out and lost them. What's going on right in this spot here? Some interference signal here, maybe. Seems to be working in reverse. Still no 640 coming through there. Maybe this is just too close. I don't know why that would be. What I'm doing is I'm just rearranging the transmitting and receiving antennas. They can't receive it now. Could be. Doesn't seem to want to. What's the problem here? I would think that this would produce a strong signal. You'd be able to pick this up all around the house. What's happened? What's happened? The signal right off over here. I don't know what's going on. Well, 740. This is it. Strange. Well, for some reason I'm going to pick the quiet spot. On to the next one. Okay. Okay, everybody off their chairs. Let's just get away from that. Yikes. So we did 740, 820, funny 820. Let's try that. So that's where this is tuned at the moment. 770, we want to go to 820. Back out. Back it out. Capacitor. That's nice. 820 is a very hard station to actually pick up here. That's not 820. 820. Yeah, it'd be tough. And the last one would be 1010. The last one I want to do is 1010. That's where we're heading. Didn't need to do this. Where are we? Wow, 1640. That's a long ways from 1010. Let me check the range on this one. Range is 900 to 1570, so we should be able to do it. Okay, so to lower the frequency, you turn it in. Wow. Doesn't seem to me there's an awful lot of turning in room there. Okay, just below it. See if we find it. There it is. Just keep going. Oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. It showed up in two places. That causes great hesitation here. Okay, let's see where we are now. It's still in two places. Almost off the band. Oh my gosh, we're nowhere near it. There's no way we're getting down there. Did I turn this the wrong way? In is down. This is hardly tuning now. Probably the slug has gone right out of the coil up here, and okay, we have to find another frequency, any old frequency up here, because there's nothing up here to pick up. Really. So let's do. Where was it? It was around 17. And we do 1600 exactly. So all these radios have a problem with picking up things in two places. Not all these radios, but that's not really quite right what I just said. So we'll take that all back. Okay. ABC is really making this difficult. Let's try it like that. First, tune in. That noise right, right on the edge of it here, which makes it difficult again. Didn't see much on the meter, but I can hear stuff. I flew right by it. So right there I'm picking up that little noise. You find it just a quiet spot around here. If there is such a thing. So that's 1630 there. Wow, it really likes it here. Okay, 1630 spine 2. I don't know why I'm even bothering making this precise. At night there'll be something there. You still see the AVC. You can see the meter kind of throwing up. Throwing up. Yeah, throwing up. That's a good word for it. Wide open. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Just tighten it a little bit. Okay, there's nothing there to hear anyway. There we are. That's good. At the very least. Good question is, why can't I turn this radio right down? Here, I can turn it down this way. There. Yeah, that is an interesting question. Why I cannot turn the radio right down? That's an interesting question. Maybe to be looked into next. Because a little bit of residual volume's okay, but actually this thing's holding on quite a bit. And I don't think I really did do a detailed analysis of the volume control or anything like that. So maybe we'll poke around with that a little bit. But this radio is just about ready to go back in the cabinet. At this point, is it worth poking around with the volume control? When was the last time you wanted to listen to a radio with the volume turned off? Not a lot of the time is spent listening to radios with the volume at 0. So maybe I shouldn't worry about the volume. Maybe that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I think the next thing, I'll put this guy in the cabinet. Or another alternative is to check its alignment using the sweep generator and all that kind of stuff. That sounds like a fun thing to do. So that's what we'll do. What we'll do is, that's right, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, it's all finished. Let's check through the whole thing now with a really powerful approach, which is the sweep generator approach. And we'll just kind of look the whole thing over and see what we see with it. Sounds like fun for next time. For now, I believe the buttons are under control. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll get busy again tomorrow.